Hey, good evening, guys. I just started doing these videos just to kind of help you guys get to know me a little bit more and what I'm all about with regards to my snakes and everything. And just kind of give you an idea of the animals that we have and how amazing each and every one of them are, really. So today's just kind of like a little bit of an introduction. Just as I say, just to give you an idea. I'm only going to talk about one particular species today. Give you a little bit of information about one of the species that we have here at For the Love of Snakes. We have a number of different species. We have corn snakes. We also have royal pythons. We have boa constrictors. We have a Brazilian rainbow boa. We have a hognose snake, which most of you are quite unlikely to meet, I'm afraid, just because he is slightly venomous. He's not dangerous, but in order to keep everyone safe, we tend to keep him at home. And we've also got two king snakes, who are absolutely wonderful. Most of the snakes that you will see on these little videos are able to handle, some of them a little bit too young. There are a couple who are a little bit too shy. Videos and people and things are just not their thing. So I might get them down for a video, but you probably would never see them in one of my workshops or anything like that, just because we don't like to stress them out. When they're old enough, like those who are too young, when they get older, we'd be more than happy to introduce you to them. I will be showing one of our really, really small babies in this video, but you guys unfortunately won't be seeing her until she's quite a lot more, quite a lot bigger. She's very, very small at the moment. But let me first introduce myself. I am Jade Lloyd, for those of you who don't know me, and I am quite fondly known as the Crazy Snake Lady at the moment. My love of snakes started really with our first snake that myself and my partner got. For those of you who don't know, I'm engaged to Lewis, and we're both pretty snake mad. I'm sure he'll come in on a video at some point or another. But yeah, our first snake was Violet. And she was a corn snake. You will be seeing her a little bit later. I say she. We are not entirely sure whether she is she or he. We haven't probed because it's not a particularly nice procedure, but I'll get onto that in a bit. So it started from there, and then the snake collection grew very rapidly, quite quickly, unfortunately. Unfortunately for some, but they are all very, very well looked after. You'll see there is a Viv behind me here, also a pile of washing, please ignore that. But there is a big Viv behind me there, and there's a couple of Vivs there actually. And one of them is home to one of our biggest snakes. But that will be a different video at a different time. So first of all, let's get a snake out. That's more interesting, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to one of the snakes that we've got very, very recently. She's very, very young. She is about 10 months old. She's small with regard to the species. I mean, a lot of snakes, even when they're 10 months old, can be quite big. So if you look at a royal python that's 10 months old, it's going to be considerably bigger than a corn snake, which Ruby is. She is a lot smaller. So bear with me. Please don't call her a worm. She doesn't like it. Everyone calls her a worm because she's so small. She's not a worm. She's a snake. But let me just grab her from her little box there. Both of these snakes are just in temporary boxes, just for ease of the video. That's all. And her Viv is actually behind me. So this is Ruby, and as you can see, she's a little bit skittish. She is young, as I say, and she's still getting used to me. She's still getting used to people in general. She is very, very small, but she is fantastic. And you can see her tiny little bug eyes when she comes back round. There she is. Tiny little bug eyes. And she is an Amel corn snake. Amel is short for amelanistic. which is kind of very similar to your albino or albinism. So she doesn't have any other pigment really than red or pink. So that's why she's really, really brightly coloured, hence the name Ruby. So she's, as I say, about 9-10 months old, so still very young. You can see she doesn't grip on a lot. Corn snakes are not known to really grip on too much. They're not really climbing snakes. They're quite terrestrial. Terrestrial meaning that they stay on the land quite a bit. And she would normally just be roaming around the countries like America. So they're found a lot around Central, South, and even North America. And she'll be just roaming around the grounds. They don't tend to climb a lot. So really, really, really kind of land terrestrial snake. So they don't tend to, when you put their vivs together, you don't tend to put many branches and things like that in there. You can, but they're not really going to use them. Now, I've learnt with snakes, there are always some exceptions to the rule. There are always some snakes that decide that they want to be a different snake and do something completely, entirely different. But as a general rule, corn snakes are supposed to be quite terrestrial. So there she is, very, very small. Now, it's going to take her a little while to get larger. Not so, well, at the moment it feels like you're going to snap her. That's why she doesn't tend to do many shows at the moment, because she's so very, very delicate, and because she's really skittish as well. We don't want to scare her, and if she's only just getting used to us, then we don't want to put her in a situation where she's potentially going to get scared by a lot more people. So she stays with us at the moment. Now, she feeds on something called Pinky Mouse, and she feeds on 2 of those a week at the moment because she's so young. We pop her on 2 a week, and she's still always after more. She's a very hungry little snake. Now, Pinky mice are mice that are 1 day old, so they are humanely killed at 1 day old, and then they're frozen, and then they come to me when I buy them, and we defrost them when it's time for feeding. It doesn't sound very nice, but it is the part of having snakes. I'm afraid that is one of the big things of having snakes. You do have to deal with dead rodents, so it is a big thing. Sometimes even dead chicks, things like that. But as I say, it's part of having them. They need to eat, and they're not eating them live. It's very illegal in the UK to give anything with a backbone live, so we'd never do that. There's very, very exceptional circumstances in that, but it's not something that we ever have, or hopefully ever will, come up against. So she feeds on those. We warm them up for her. We wiggle them in front of her face with some tweezers, and she loves it. She loves it. She really, really strikes very quickly. I think over the course of this kind of video fiasco that we're going to start, I think we'll get some feeding responses in there as well. So hopefully we'll be able to post a couple of those on there as well, just to for your entertainment, if you have a little bit of a morbid curiosity as to what they look like when they eat. So I hope you've enjoyed meeting Ruby. She's having a proper look at everyone now, so I hope you're having a little hello to her there, giving her a little wave. So I'm going to put her back. I'm going to put her back in her little box at the moment, just to make sure that we're not handling her too much. We try and handle her every day. The only times we don't handle her is if she was shedding. Again, another conversation for another time. Or if she had just eaten. But she last ate on Sunday, and today is Wednesday. So she's digested absolutely fine now. So we don't need to worry about that. Now, I am going to bring out another corn snake, but she is a lot bigger. I'm going to call her she for the sake of we have had her for a long time as she. So we're going to stick with she. Could well be a he. Who knows? I might find out one day, but at the moment I'm not too worried. So I will be getting out Violet. Now, Violet has very, very, very special place in mine and my partner's heart because she was our first snake, as I mentioned earlier. And she's absolutely stunning. She's got she's got such a lovely, lovely character. So she, you will probably see her in some of our workshops, and she's very active, really kind of interested in what you're doing, having a look and everything. So let me grab her from her box. Come on in, sweet pea. She thinks she's eating. She is not. She just looked at my hand as if to say, but she knows it's not feeding time. And corn snakes are very, 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 very unlikely to strike. So here we go, substantially bigger than Ruby. This is Violet, and Violet is a lavender corn snake. So she's called a lavender corn snake. As you see, there's a kind of purplish tinge to her skin. Most corn snakes, when you get the typical Carolina corn snake, their colour is kind of reddy brown colour, but these guys have a different pigment. So I'm glad she's saying hi. It's really nice if they have a nice little hello to the audience. It shows that she's appreciating you. And it shows her character. So as I say, she's a really, really, really nice snake to work with. It's a really, really lovely snake to have. And she's just genuinely really, 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 really lovely. Now, as you can see, she is a lot bigger. Now, we don't believe that she's fully grown. So she is 2.5 years old. So she can potentially get a little bit bigger than this. Some corn snakes, they tend to get to about 5 foot, 4 to 5 foot. So, which is longer than her. She's cusping on about 2.5. So she does have more to grow. I'm adamant on it. Yeah, they do tend to get quite a lot larger. I mean, some corn snakes stay small, but I think she's going to get a bit bigger. Corn snakes, believe it or not, can live for about 15 to 20 years as well. Snakes are a very long-lived animal. There are some species of snake that can go for a good 40 years, which is really, really exciting, to be honest. There's a lot of snakes that have really kind of gone for a really, really, really long time, particularly in captivity. In the wild, they might not live as long because of kind of things like predators in the wild. However, in captivity, there's none of that, and they're very well looked after, so they can go for a lot longer. Now, in terms of food, Violet is on a lot larger food than Ruby. So Ruby's on the 1-day-old mice, and our little Violet here, she is on small mice. Okay, so they tend to be about that big. We are actually moving her up in the next couple of weeks. We've done our latest food order, and we actually haven't ordered any small mice. We've ordered some medium mice, so her food is going to go up. Now, when you're judging snake food, the easiest way to tell what a snake should be eating, like what size a snake should be eating, is by looking at the thickest part of their bodies. This is around the thickest part of Violet's body. And if the mouse or the rat or whatever it is you're feeding them, if it is thicker than the thickest part of their body, then it's probably going to be too big. However, if it's around the right size, around that size, and you kind of see a lump in their body once they've digested, that means that it's pretty much the right size. So we've seen kind of a lack of a lump in her body every time she eats, and she's always kind of looking at me for more. So we are going to up her feed. She feeds only once a week. Now, as snakes get older, they do tend to feed a lot less often. So some of our snakes are on kind of 10-day feeds, so we feed them every 10 days. That can generally move to every 2 weeks as they get even older. And then some of our really large snakes, they will be feeding once a month. So really, really kind of, well, a lot less feeding involved as they get bigger. So definitely not like us at all. So as I say, Lovely Violet was our first snake. We got her about 2 years ago, and she has been an amazing introduction to the snake world. Now, corn snakes are normally listed as the starter snake. For those of you who do want to keep snakes in the future, a corn snake is a really, really good place to start. They're nice and active, so really active in the daytime. Things like royal pythons, they're fantastic pets. They're by far one of my favourite snakes. However, they are a lot less active than these guys. These guys are really kind of up and about, looking at what you're doing. Again, there's always exceptions to the rule. I have one royal python who is amazing and is always happy to say hello. However, these guys are far, far more active and a lot more fun when it comes to if you've got children and things like that. If they really want to be around a really active snake, then these guys are definitely the way to go. They're really hardy as well. They don't require too much humidity as well because they live in the Americas. There are a lot of snakes that you do need to really up their humidity due to their natural environment being very warm, very humid. These guys, not too much humidity is actually needed for them, which is really good. So we put them on a substrate called Lignocell, which is kind of, it looks a bit like sawdust. It's not sawdust, but it looks a bit like it. It's nice and clean, really good for its lack of dust and things like that. I mean, I'll talk lots and lots about substrates and things if you want me to in later videos. But yeah, it's kind of nice little interesting stuff. And as soon as I'm kind of jabbering on about snakes, then I tend to just go on off on tangents and everything like that. So I hope you have enjoyed our first video. If you did, then please like it and maybe share it and just let us know what you think. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think there's anything I can work on and things for videos. And you know, I'm really excited to show you all of my snakes. And at For the Love of Snakes, we are kind of a mobile education workshop. So we're really happy to talk to children, to talk to adults, to talk to everyone about these animals. I work in a school myself, and I have taken snakes into school, and the reception that you get from them is amazing. But 9 times out of 10, it's more trying to conquer the adult's fear of the snakes rather than the child's fear. So there's a lot of work to be done to conquer the stigmas around snakes. They really are fantastic little animals. And I really hope that I start to change your mind. If you're not a fan of snakes, I really hope I start to change your mind soon. So look for another video soon, please. And from myself, from Violet, from Ruby, thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely evening, guys.